Alright, so in this video we are taking a model we made in Blender and we're bringing it into Roblox and we're making it interactive. Here is our model that we made in Blender. It is a table with a drawer, and you can see if I move this, there's the drawer, and these are two separate objects. And then the other thing I should tell you is that our units are metric and it's meters, and this unit scale is 1. Alright, so that will come in handy when we export this, which we're going to do right now. And there's also a texture on this object, and I UV unwrapped it. And I have a different video for that. I'll show you how I made this model. But what we're going to do is bring this into Roblox, and then we will be able to interact with it. We'll be able to use a proximity prompt for to be able to open the drawer and that kind of thing. So, all right, so here we go. We're going to export this object. Let's select. Let me tell you one other thing. I have a video that shows how to properly scale your Blender objects so that when they go into Roblox, they're the right size. So this was the kind of what I showed you in the other video. This kind of represents a Roblox character. If you look at how big it is, it's 5.5 meters tall. That's kind of what a Roblox character is. It's really 5.5 studs tall. That's kind of like I guess like an average size. So I made them 5.5 meters tall, and when we export it, this object, it will be the right size. So we're just going to hide that for now because we don't need it. So we're going to select our table and our drawer, and we're going to export FBX. Let's call this 2 because I already did this. Alright, so the main thing we have to do is do selected objects and also change our scale to 0.01. That's pretty much the important thing you have to do, so everything will be the right size. Alright, so let's export it. And I should also add, when you export it and you have a texture, which I just found on the internet, it's a free texture. You know, there's your principled BSDF, and there's a texture with a UV map. Actually, that UV map plugged into it. So it will actually take that texture with us when we go to Roblox, which is pretty nice. So let's go over to Roblox now. Alright, so here we are in Roblox Studio. And just make sure you have Explorer and Properties turned on. And Toolbox. Alright, so let's import our object. The easiest way to do it is right in Home, Import 3D. And then we're going to find our object. Alright, so we have our object. And we're just going to anchor it. I think that's the only thing we really have to do. And if you notice, there's a texture on it, which is great. Alright, so there's our object. We're just going to drag it off to the side. Alright, so here we are. There's our object. And right now it is set as a model, and there's 2 parts to it. So one of the things we want to do is we're going to use the Tween service, and the way I think is nice and easy to do, like we're basically going to make the drawer open. So if you just duplicate the drawer and then maybe name this one drawer open. So now we have 2 drawers. So we'll make sure we have that one selected. We'll hit the move tool and we'll just drag this one out a little bit. That's probably far enough. So that's where the closed drawer is going to wind up, in that position. So we can actually make this one, we'll turn the transparency way up on it. We'll leave it like that for now, but we'll make it totally transparent. There we are. So let's go, and I'm going to start adding some things to this. So to the drawer, we want to add, which will make it a little easier to place our proximity prompt where we want it, we will add an attachment. Right? There it is. So, and let's drag it to kind of where the handle is, or the drawer pull. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then what we'll do is we'll add our proximity prompt to that attachment. So now we can actually, all right, let's proximity prompt. And one of the things I like to do is turn off line of sight. Requires line of sight. And we can also turn down the distance a little bit, just make it like 5. All right, let's just see what we got. We're going to run it. So here's our, see, it's working already. And as we get away from it, it turns off. All right, so, and if you notice, it's centered right where the handle or the drawer pull, I'll call it handle from now on, is. If we didn't do that, it would be way in the middle of the drawer of the table, and that's not really a good spot for that. All right, so now we need to start adding some other things. So one of the things we want to add is a sound effect for the drawer opening. So let's do that real quick. Audio, and I'm just going to look up, like, let's see what that gives us. All right, so we're going to insert that. There's our sound, and then we also need a script. So let's add that. All right, we have that now set up. We have the sound, we have the script, proximity prompt. What else do we need? We need something to put in our script. We got to start defining our objects and variables and stuff like that. All right, so in our script, basically these are going to be our variables to start defining our objects. So I made a variable called drawer, and that's going to be basically this part right there. So it's going to be script.Parent.Drawer. DrawerOpen is this one. So it's script.Parent.DrawerOpen. And now what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the C frames of these variables or objects that we defined, and it will store them. So we kind of need a drawer that's closed and a drawer that's open. We need those positions, and we'll use those in a little bit. Okay, so the next thing we need is we're going to define the Tween service. So we're creating a variable called Tween service, and you basically say game : get service, and then the name of the service. So, and it'll be called Tween service as a variable. The next thing we need to do is whenever you use Tween service, you also need like a Tween info variable, which is, I think it's a library type variable. So Tween info is the name of our variable. We're going to say equals tween info.new, and then these are a list of parameters for the Tween service that we're going to use. So 0.8, we can make this whatever we want. This is the time it will take for the Tween service to run. Tween service is basically you're taking a value of your object and you're animating it, and you're giving it what the endpoint is. It could be a color, it could be a position. So we're using the positions of the C frames of the closed drawer and the open drawer. So here we go. So all right, so that's time. These are easing styles, and you can, there's a couple different ones to pick from. Cubic is nice. I like the way that looks. So the next thing is the easing direction, and that's basically, I set it to in and out, so it's gonna be slow in, move, and then slow out. That's what we're doing for that. 0 is the, I believe it's the number of times you want it to repeat. So we're not going to repeat it at all. I think reverse is the next one, so it's set to false because we don't want it to go backwards at the end. We just want it to stay put. And then 0 is, I think it's a time offset. That's all we need to do for that. All right, let's grab the next bit of code. So these two lines define the actual tween service that we're going to run. So tween A and tween B. Tween A will create this, and it will use drawer from up here, and it will use the tween info, which is all this stuff, and the CFrame will be whatever is in these variables. So we're going to do drawer.Open CFrame for tween A, and for tween B it's the same exact thing. We were going to use the closed position for that one. All right, we're going to add this variable, which is, it is basically a debounce. So we're going to set the drawer, this is kind of like its status. So I know it's probably a bad name to use because I already used drawer.Open there, but it's lowercase. So try not to get confused. So we're setting it to false. That means that the drawer is closed. So it is not open. And then we will change that as we open and close the drawer. All right, so the next thing we're going to add is the proximity prompt, and this is where it's located. It's script.Parent.Drawer.Attachment.Proximity.Prompt. So that should work. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this local action text equals, and then we're going to use proximity prompt dot action text, and that will grab the action text as a variable for us, so we can change it to whatever we want to. All right, next thing we're going to do is set up our sound so that when the drawer opens, it will play back a sound effect. All right, we're just going to rename this so it works. I'm going to actually copy and paste this, which will make it easier. All right, so just make sure that is the same name. All right, so that will set up our sound effect. All right, so last but not least, we need to actually do the proximity prompt function. So here we go. So proximity prompt dot triggered will make this function. It will grab the player and it will connect it, and it will check to see if the drawer, now this is this debounce variable right there. So first thing it does is check to see if it's false. If it is false, then it will try to open the drawer. So it will then right away change it to close, so that your proximity prompt will change as you open and close the drawer. So when the drawer is open, it will say close, and when it's closed, it will say open. Drawer open now equals true. That's our debounce. And it will basically play our sound effect, and then it will actually run the tween A. And you just run a tween by just saying play. All right, so now we're at else. That means that if this drawer was actually open and not false, it will run this part. So proximity prompt will change to open because the drawer is shut, if that makes sense. It will run our sound effect. We'll just use the same sound effect. Then it will run tween B by just playing it. And then it will now flip our true to false. And so it will work. All right, so let's see if all of this actually works. Hopefully it will. All right, so it seems to be working. So now one thing we could do is get rid of this. If you hit Alt and then click on an object, it will grab it inside of a model, which is a nice feature. We are going to just change this to 1 so we don't see our draw at all. And let's hit play just to see if that's still working. There we go. Alright, we're interacting with our Blender object. So the next thing we could do if we want to add a little more to this whole object here, this is kind of like based on a Hello Neighbor object where they put keys and key cards inside drawers and that kind of thing. So we could do this. Let's go to models. We're just going to grab a key card. So key card. Let's grab that one. We're not going to put it in our backpack. We're just going to leave it loose. And so here's our key card. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick it in the drawer. And we got to add a little bit of code to this first. And we also want to add a sound effect. So let's just do that real quick. So keycard audio, let's look up, let's just do ding sound effect. And I think this one might be a good one. Yeah, that's good. So we added that. All right, so what we also want to do is on our key card, we want to add a click detector. All right, that's added. Right now, if you play this and you go over here to the table and you walk over it, we will automatically get the card. And that's not really what we want to happen. We want to be able to click on it when it's in the drawer. So let's go back, and then what you do is you go to handle and you just turn off can touch. So now when we run it, so you don't get it if you touch it. All right, so let's take our key card, let's add a script. We'll call this click script. So since this is short, what I'm going to do is just paste the whole script that I have from my other project for the script. I'll just explain what this all means. So there's our key card model. The first variable is called tool, and it's script.Parent. So script.Parent is just key card. So that makes sense. Click is the click detector, so it's going to use tool.clickDetector. So tool means key card basically, and then click detector is right underneath that, so that should work. Sound is, we added our sound, it's called ding ding, so that is script.Parent. So script.Parent.Ding ding, so it should find that okay. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So when we do our mouse click, it will connect to a function and we'll grab the player, which we're not really using for this. It will run the sound, which is defined up here, the ding ding sound, and it will add the tool to the player's backpack. So that's what tool.Parent does. This is the tool we're talking about. And parent is a hierarchy type thing. So basically that will go in your backpack. And then let's talk about this weld. I had to comment out these two weld things because I wanted to talk about those in a minute. And it wouldn't really run if those weren't commented out. So let's see what we have. We'll run it now. So if we go over to this, door opens, closes, and if we see that, we get our little click detector prompt. So if you click on it, see, it works. So it is now in our backpack. If you hit 1, it will just, basically arm it. So there you go. So now what we want to do is we want to put our key card in this drawer. We need to basically weld this to the drawer, the key card to the drawer. So let's do that real quick. So we're going to add under the key card a weld constraint, and then we are going to part 0 and part 1 represent what pieces we want to weld together. So we're going to click on that, click on the key card, and then for the second one we're going to click on the drawer, but we can actually go and do it in the list here, so let's do that. So now that should technically work. So let's just test it real quick. So now when we open the drawer, the key card goes with it. And then the cool thing is we could still do that. But now here's the funny thing is if we arm our card, it snaps back to where it was welded. And we don't want that. So let's fix that. So what we'll do is, we also have to move the key card obviously. So we can take care of that now. So that's actually the handle object. And we can rotate it. I have it set to 45 degrees. So that, and we can move it down into the drawer. Hopefully that's good enough. So now what we want to do is, let's go and uncomment these. Let's just see if it works without doing too much work here. So let's just uncomment that. So now that will basically, it will reference the weld object, script.Parent.Weld constraint. And then here it will say, you're basically disabling the weld object. So weld object, weld.enabled equals false. So it will break that weld. So let's do that real quick. Let's run it. So here's our table, our drawer. We're going to open it up. There's our key card in there. We could click on it. So now we have the key card. Close the drawer. Be nice. So now if we arm our card or enable our tool, it's in our hand, which is great, and we can walk around with it, and then we can put it back. And if you're noticing it, he carries it in a kind of a weird way. We are going to try to fix our positioning of the tool and how we hold it. The tool is the key card. So let's select the key card. It's inside the table where we can't see it, so let's drag it out. And right now that is kind of how we're going to hold it, which is totally weird. So let's hit Edit Tool Grip, and you find this under Plugins, Tool Grip, and that window will pop up. So what we want to do is make it look good in the guy's arm. So first things first, let's try rotating it. So that could be good for that direction. That's probably good. So let's go to move, and we'll just move it out from the hand a little bit. We'll make it slightly intersecting. Alright, so that should be good for that. So we just select that. We don't care about that anymore. If we just drop it down a little bit. For some reason it doesn't want to click on it. See, now it is. So I just moved it slightly up. See, it's a little too high now. I don't know why when it's lower you can't click on it. And I tried a whole bunch of different things. If anybody knows, in the comments. I mean, I'm not a Roblox expert by any means. I'm still learning this. I have fun with it. It's kind of a hobby. So let's try dropping it down a little bit. See if that. I know if you hold Shift, it's more fine increment. Let's see if that works. I have a feeling it's not. See, can't click on it. Very frustrating. Alright, so after I recorded this video, I actually figured out what was wrong and why you couldn't click on the key card. So let me show you what it was. So if you click on this model and go to drawer.Open, remember we made this the end position of the drawer opening, and we made it transparent, but that was actually the thing that was keeping us from clicking on the key card if you put it down in the drawer too much. So what you have to do is select drawer.Open and then come down and just uncheck can collide and also can touch, just to make it work better. I think it's the can collide that's the thing that was messing it up. So let's run it. Let's go over to our desk. And when you open it, see the key card is pretty far down in there, and it allows us to click on it now. See? Now we can close the drawer. And there you go. Hi, this is Editor Dan again. I just wanted to also say that I did try this with a click detector to open the drawer, but I found I didn't like it as much. I think using the proximity prompt is a little more graceful, and I just liked it better. There's more options and that kind of thing. So After I recorded this whole thing, I was like, well, maybe I should have just did it with a click detector instead. And then I actually tried it, and I found, like I just said, I didn't like it as much. So I went back to the proximity prompt. I think that's a better option. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. So there you go. I guess I'll end the video there. Hope you had fun with this. Good luck making your Blender objects interactive in Roblox. And don't forget the scaling trick. Anyway, I just want to say thanks for watching this video. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because that really helps my channel and it keeps me making videos like this. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next one.